Mario Kart is amazing. Playing Mario Kart 8 with family was a core part of my childhood, and throughout my life I keep coming back to the franchise due to I've never fully understood F1. I have friends that are into it, but whenever they start going on about it, I tend to just zone out and ignore them. And the sport is just... Both of these are true, and I think Mario might have ruined the other thing for me. To understand the damage caused towards F1, I think we first need to understand that I'm not really a car guy. This is quite important because Mario Kart is not like real cars. F1 really only got onto my radar around 2023, whereas I've been playing Mario Kart since at least 2015, and had been aware of it way before that. Whenever someone talks about racing, my mind will dart to the arcadey antics of Mario Karting, much before anything in the real world. That likely says something about me, but I don't think my past or nostalgia is the answer here. So, what makes Mario Kart tick for me, unlike a real sport like Formula 1? And how could I one day become normal and enjoy F1 like everyone else? Starting with the elephant in the room, Mario Kart is like a video game? Now for the sake of this argument, I'm ignoring the F1 games, because realistically when someone is talking about F1, it's about the actual sport 99% of the time, and that's what I'm concerned about. Obviously I like watching things, but if you let me watch some racing, or let me actually take part in some racing, taking part sounds infinitely more appealing in most cases. Mario Kart is very easy to understand. I can explain the controls to someone in like a minute, and they are off to the races. Laugh. F1 is quite overwhelming to get into in comparison. F1 has a lot of rules and intricacies to how it works, which definitely can make it interesting if you get into it, but if is the key word. I wouldn't need an introductory video to get into Mario Kart, but I've watched those and had friends try to explain things to me many times to get into F1, and I think I still don't completely get it. And despite Mario Kart being easy to get into initially, there is also a lot of depth to keep you hooked as you play more and more. So I'd say Mario Kart really hits the best of both worlds. Now let's switch gears and dig deeper into the games. Mario Kart's gameplay is obviously not realistic, but that's what gives it a lot of its fun and charm. Mario Kart races last about 2 to 3 minutes on average. F1 races last about 90 minutes on average, with it potentially going up to 2 hours. The reason cited for this extra length is to allow for strategies to form and be played out. That makes sense, but there is just so much dead space in these matches where nothing is happening, due to them not really being able to do anything until the right moment. Now to be completely fair, F1 also has a thing called sprint races, which are meant to be shorter, still 30 minutes-ish, but much shorter overall. It's quite interesting though. The beginner's guide to sprint races page explicitly says these races are more about being dynamic rather than strategic, and having a little more action. So I guess they are aware of the value that shorter races provide, even if the vast majority of races are still the usual 190 miles. No matter what they do, however, it will never truly be as action-packed as Mario Kart because items, tracks, multiplayer. Items make the outcome of any game end up so different, and they add so much spice to everything. Tracks also don't need to adhere to physics, and can just do literally anything they want. My comparison here is mostly talking about Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe, due to me spending the most time with them. And in those games alone, you had tracks that just decided, oh, we're on a boat now. Sure, why not an ocean track? Ice track, lava track, ice cream anyone? Okay, this track sucks, but still, ice cream. And there's like 96 of these? To top it off, you're able to do this all with your friends or play online. And I don't think I need to explain why that's so fun. Well, assuming everyone watching this has friends at least. Mario Kart is also accessible to be played 24/7. Even during any online server maintenance, you can still just play locally. I guess you can rewatch highlights and past races for F1 online, but new races are on their strict calendar and it's not all year round. Their official way to watch highlights is through F1 TV, their subscription service. Let's compare pricing. Monthly F1 TV is cheaper than a Nintendo Switch Online subscription, but getting a yearly deal of NSO is cheaper than a yearly deal of F1 TV. And NSO only gets cheaper if you decide to split a family plan between up to 8 people you know. I'm not trying to call NSO a good service, to be clear, but I think it's probably more worth it than access to an archive of F1 footage. Oh, and you don't actually get to watch the live races here. If you want those, you must be in one of a few specific countries, and you must purchase the upgraded version called F1 TV Pro. Otherwise, you need to watch it through different provider subscriptions, such as Sky Sports in the UK. The costs are already stacking up quite a bit here, but it gets worse. Now, what if you wanted to watch a race in person? Alright, hang on, let's give F1 the benefit of the doubt. For an optimal Mario Kart experience, you need to buy a Switch, a copy of the game, the booster course pass, and finally 1 year of NSO, which adds to £350.50. Let's not talk about getting a Switch 2 in Mario Kart World for the sake of the argument here. Now that sounds like a win for F1 if we compare the year 1 costs. But if you ever want to buy a ticket for traveling to a real game, the difference is now suddenly in Nintendo's favor. And well, buying a Switch and the game is only a one-time cost. NSO is a yearly expense, but it's cheaper than the 2 subscriptions you need for optimal F1ing. So eventually Mario Kart will be the more cost-effective entertainment. And it only becomes more cost-effective if you scour the second-hand market and or wait for a game sale, or opt for a Switch Lite, or even buying a different Mario Kart game on an older console. And no, piracy is not exactly an argument here because you can do that for both sides. I am ignoring you people. Now, one of the big deals about F1 is that it's a competitive sport and everyone is a professional. That's fair enough, I suppose. There is value in watching people that are just super good at what they do. But in Mario Kart, it's far more viable to actually become one of the people that are super good at what they do. There are so many resources online for tips and tricks, and it's far easier to boot up your Switch to practice every day. Of course, it's not easy. I don't want to undermine the thousands of hours many world record holders and top players have put in. But the point is, getting good at Mario Kart is far more accessible. You see, unfortunately, I wasn't born into a multi-millionaire family, and I don't have any rich people connections. So even if I had the potential from practicing and karting in real life, I'm just completely out of luck for climbing the F1 ranks. And hey, if you're not interested in becoming professional yourself, that's okay. There's competitive Mario Kart that you can watch instead. And if any sort of competitive activity doesn't interest you, Mario Kart is also a very casual game and has many levels in between. I'm not really sure what a casual equivalent for F1 would be. As a few fun aside points, Mario Kart has a battle mode. I have never been the biggest fan of battle mode and would rather race, but it's alright as a nice breather. And you won't see F1 ever having any of these due to them needing to adhere to safety rules or something. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is also endorsed by F1. Look, they're playing Mario Kart. I win! Okay, now that I've gotten all the Mario Kart glazing out of my system, let me come to my senses and figure out the parts of F1 I do like. Okay, so the vehicle engineering seems pretty interesting actually. If I decide to learn more about cars, I feel like I would really come to appreciate all the work that goes into making the fastest car that fits within all the regulations of the sport. There's also the whole thing with multiple tire types, which leans into why the races are 2 hours and are meant to show off those mentioned strategies. It's pretty neat actually, even if I still think the races are too long. I was going to say that F1 has more drivers on the racetrack than Mario Kart, but unironically Mario Kart World is now ahead of them as of 2025. Still though, it is true if we talk about the vast majority of Mario Kart games, I guess. F1 may not be happening every second for you to watch whenever, because like, humans are running it and need a break. But having a set calendar and hyping up each race really helps everything feel like a big event. Even if the prices are egregious, the experience of watching an F1 race in person just wouldn't compare to playing a lot of games of Mario Kart. I've never actually been though, so maybe it actually sucks and I'm wrong, I don't know. By the way, while playing Mario Kart with others is always a blast, it wouldn't be fair to discard the value that watching something with others also provides. It's not the same experience, but it's fun in its own way, and watching some F1 while talking with friends is something I have done before. There's also all the stuff outside of the races that must be mentioned. According to a girl I know, they got into F1 because her family watched it and she didn't really care until she saw one of the drivers and thought he was kinda hot. So she started watching it for him, but eventually got interested in the rest of the sport as she got exposed to it. So for anyone that's into guys, I got a sport for you right here. You're welcome. Let's not completely slouch on Mario Kart characters though. Mario Kart has something for everyone. Top 5 Mario Kart character as voted by people. Number 3, Daisy, people seem to like her. Number 2, Wario, haven't seen a single hater for this guy. Number 1, Cataquack. I guess fans of F1 are pretty engaged with the sport as well. You'll always be seeing them talk about it, and online you can find tons of edits and hype and thirsting over the drivers. Okay, so it's a reoccurring thing, I guess. Mario Kart has a community as well, of course. I love seeing people get Mario Karted and the works, but I feel like F1 fans are more interesting. For example, me. I am not talking about Mario Kart that often realistically. It is just something that I enjoy and will play every once in a while. I think for F1 fans, the sport is just more ever present for them, which is probably in part due to how the races are spread out over the majority of a year. Whereas Mario Kart discussion is mainly at its peak when there's an update or a new game drops, and then kinda leaves the limelight after that. Something that also helps, I suppose, is all the team and driver drama that happens around the races. Standard sports stuff affairs like driver switching teams, player rivalries, scandals. Mario Kart just doesn't have that stuff to the same scale. I guess there is probably some competitive Mario Kart player drama, and there have been some cheating scandals, but F1 drama feels like it has more stakes to it, you know? F1 is always changing as well. The change is gradual and happens over time, but the sport is never exactly the same between each year, and even throughout the year, which would make it interesting to keep tabs on it. Let's not forget the Mario Kart 8 era for Mario Kart, which lasted 10 years. Sure, we got updates like the original Wii U DLC and then the Booster Course Pass, but I mean it was 10 years, come on, that's a really long time with the same general gameplay, even if it's always fun. Possibly the biggest point in F1's favor overall though, is that it doesn't have a communication error has occurred at random times while you watch it, so I think that's a huge plus. Thanks Nintendo. Well, I think I made some compelling arguments there. Is it time for me to finally jump into the world of Formula 1 and sell my Mario Karts? Well, I don't know honestly. F1 seems like something I could grow to like, but I also shouldn't really need to force myself to get into it. You don't need to enjoy everything after all. However, you should be open to new things. And I feel like I've been avoiding F1 just because I was getting a little bit tired of hearing people talking about it. And that's not a good reason for not trying something new. So, I guess my F1 arc starts with me choosing a team to support. Well, I recently watched that F1 movie and I quite enjoyed it, and it made me a lot more interested in the sport. The team in it really spoke out to me. Apex GP. So I think I'll support that. Wait. I've likely made many small errors and pissed off every F1 fan watching this due to my lack of knowledge, so I apologize for any distress I've caused. I did ask my F1 friends for a few bits and pieces of knowledge, so feel free to blame them if anything is wrong. Mario Kart and F1 are very different things at the end of the day, so this was a very silly comparison. But I thought it was interesting to pit two completely different forms of racing together. Anyways, for more nonsensical perspectives on games, make sure to subscribe and the other stuff. Some of those said nonsensical perspectives should be on screen now. Isn't that fun? Vroom vroom bye.